Well, howdy guys. Well, we're back with another creek, another favorite hangout spot. In fact, I may just insert a picture of just a few days ago where it was covered in snow. Part of that is all the snow's melting. Obviously, there's nothing here at this elevation, fairly low, just outside of town. But wanted to share a story via Crockett20. Is interested in hearing some of your favorite camping trips. I figured you could use some better scenery than my ugly mug. So, your favorite one is going to be hard for a lot of us. So, one of them that I picked was one of my earliest big trips that I remember taking. And it was when I was still in the Cub Scouts. And being in a small town, the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts basically were one and the same, other than what merit badges and stuff you were working on. And we were taking a trip to Idaho border, Hell's Canyon, very popular area. Now we only hiked in down into the canyon, being that we were quite a bit younger. Back in the day, we've got the big old packs and whatnot. The Boy Scouts were going to hike out of there. The younger guys got a treat, and we actually took a jet boat home, which was a very cool experience. One of my most memorable things about that trip were the rattlesnakes, of course, are very prevalent in eastern Oregon and Idaho, namely Snake River, that's down in the canyon there. And we had sort of a camp set up down in this real sandy area down off the Snake River. And that was kind of our kitchen hangout area. That's where the fire was. And our camp was sort of up off the river a little ways and in this little plateau area. Well, being that there was enough of us, we'd kind of worn a path up to where the tents were. And I was sharing a tent with another guy, actually a Boy Scout that was coming down. They were still hiking. We took a different way in, a less strenuous route for the younger guys. And I remember like, oh, I'm going to go grab something out of my tent. So I head up the little path towards my tent, and you hear rattle, rattle, rattle off to the left. And you're like, all right, you know, as long as I stay on this side and I let him have his space over there. It's about knee-high grass at that point when I was younger. You couldn't see him. I could just hear him rattling over there. And they're just shh. I'm like, all right, that's cool. He can have his space. I'll just kind of go around him this way. Well, I take another step or two. Rattle over here. So at this point, I'm sort of surrounded. It's hard to tell how close he is. So I'm like, you know, maybe I don't need that hat or jacket or whatever it was at the time that I needed to go get to my tent for. And so I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go back, hang out in the kitchen area for a while. You know, I was still pretty young. The same trip, in fact, because Hell's Canyon is so steep, you know, you lose light even earlier in the day because the sun can't get down into the deep canyon. And, you know, you're not supposed to fish after dark, but it was still light out. And there was a gentleman there, one of the father guys, and I actually don't remember who at this point, was fishing. And he hooked a bat as he cast out. As the sun was going down, the bats are always getting all the insects flying over, you know, the river and stuff. And he hooked a bat through a wing. And so luckily one of the guys had leather gloves. And so they got the bat settled down. They were able to pull the barb out. And that ended any sort of late afternoon fishing for anyone. But definitely one of the most memorable trips as far as early memories. It really sort of got me into that. The other thing I kind of want to mention, the reason I bring it up is it's sort of on my mind. I was actually talking to the Haas the other day about it, kind of sharing the story with him. But those of you that have sons or daughters for that matter, but sons that are in the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts, try to, even if you're not like the scout master, try to encourage the other fathers and whatnot to plan those trips. I know work schedule, all that family stuff is very strenuous, but as some of you may know, I didn't really have a father figure growing up, and so being in the Boy Scouts, or the Cub Scouts even at that time, you know, I relied on the other fathers to kind of put these trips together. And where this story is going is, one of my biggest regrets is never finishing the Boy Scouts, never becoming an Eagle Scout. And it was simply, most of my closer friends were older age group. It was, like I said, it was a smaller town, so there weren't, you know, you had a wide variety of age groups. And I tended to hang out with the older kids at the time. And because of that, when they all graduated their Boy Scout, you know, Eagle, whatever, they, you know, their fathers and their involvement in the program, you know, stopped. And it was the fathers that were more closely to my age group that were left that really sort of dropped the ball and didn't pick up the ball and plan trips. All of a sudden I noticed, like, you know, you were meeting in the church basement, but you weren't really doing anything. You know, you maybe did the Pinewood Derby once a year, but we really kind of stopped taking trips and we stopped doing other things. And so that you just sort of lost interest in it. It was just a thing to do once a week in the bottom of the church, but you stop taking trips, you start going out in the wilderness. And, you know, like I said, I didn't have a father, you know, at the time to kind of help with that, so I relied on the other people to do that. So I just want you guys to think about that, those young dads that are out there, that even if their kids, you know, will become getting older and getting involved in things like that, you know, I ask you to just try to, you know, I don't know, adopt the other kids out there, if you will, but, you know, to help the program, don't let it stagnate, because they are some of my most fond memories from when I was younger. It's one of the reasons, you know, that I enjoy getting out here and doing that kind of thing. So something just to, you know, put in your brainstem. I'm going to actually finish my lunch out here, and I wish y'all have a good trip. Because of this is the for the Ribz pack, I'm actually going to make sure Crockett knows not to include me. I recently bought the Ribz. I saw by the time I got around to buying them, he was basically discounting all of last year's old version that is now being replaced by the one that Crockett is giving away in this giveaway. And so I have like 3 of them. Basically, if you bought one, you got 3. And I don't know if I'll ever do a review. I may show you what I decided to carry in the Ribz at some point, especially because I'm starting to go through my bug out bag and at least do like certain little compartments, like electronic compartment and stuff like that. Things that aren't totally obvious that people have requested asking me. I probably won't do clothing and a few boring things like that. So I will cover the Ribz, because that was essentially it's essentially your survival pack. When you take off your backpack, you've got your other items available. And you know, there's some things I didn't really enjoy about the pack, and so I may touch upon those. I'm glad to see the quality level is higher. That was one of the issues I kind of had with it. I've got like strings unraveling and they're getting caught in the zippers. That kind of disappointed me. So, you know, I'm glad for the improvements, and I know he was looking for that data from his users. And I really appreciate any sort of company or anybody out there that really encourages feedback so they can change and improve their product, from big to small. I mean, when I've said it before, when companies get a hold of you and you tell them, you know, you'll do a review for them, but number one, it's going to be an honest review, and number two, I'm going to give you suggestions of how to fix the pack. And it's interesting to see the different companies react to that. So I'm glad he is improving and becoming a bigger company. The material in Crockett's video definitely looks heads over heels better than what he was using. The zippers look better. I do appreciate the strap pad. I wore that Ribz for 4 days during the zombie video, and I started to get irritation on the side of my right neck, where just the 2-inch just plain webbing was sort of rubbing in, because you tend to wear them a lot. And so I will stop my rambling. I did see Tim from Maxpedition sort of give away a little hint and see that Ribz is going to have a Maxpedition version. so I may hold out and try to get that. I don't know from the looks of it if I'm gonna like it as well. It looks huge, but maybe Tim is a smaller statured individual and it'll work out just fine. So we'll see. I'm gonna stop rambling. This video's under 10 minutes. Thanks for watching.